Hey all, long time no see. So I'm still around. I've just been busy working on my career and doing some things behind the scenes for the GT4 community. On that note, if you have a 165, 185, or 205 and you have some HD footage you might be able to let me use, I am working on a buyer's guide. So you can leave a comment below or you can hit me up on Instagram. But anyway, today I am messing with this. And simply what it is I wanted a little representation of my ISF, and Tomica makes something. I actually picked it up at a local Walmart. However, Tomica makes really ugly wheels. It makes it look just janky. So what the goal is here is to take it apart and fit some new wheels on it. Just a cheap alternative to make it look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and get started. And so here's the car out of the package. It's 1/64 scale with a little roof scoop. We have some vents. Essentially, I think it's the TRD kit because of the CCS-R. The only thing that I want to really change is probably paint the exhaust tips and maybe the ducts as well. But other than that, I'm going to probably leave it alone. Would have liked a different color, but it works. But as we can see, we've got the wheels here, and what we want to do is we want to measure them. So I have a caliper here, and the Tomica wheels are right around 10.5 millimeters in diameter, and then width we have 5.4 millimeters. So that gives us an idea of what wheels we can find. Now there's aftermarket ones on eBay and other places that are essentially real versions of wheels, but I am going to just go the cheap route and switch this out for a hot wheel. But one thing that we're going to have to do first, so some Tomicas actually have a screw in the bottom so you can change them out, but this one does not. We have rivets. So we're going to take a drill bit, something that's just a little bit bigger than the center, and we're going to put a drill into it, and that's going to make the rivet go away, and we'll have to replace it with a screw or something once we finish assembling it. And once everything is drilled out enough, we can also pop off the bottom of the Tomica. So as you saw, that was a little bit more work than I might have wanted. Some Tomicas actually have a screw in the bottom, but all Hot Wheels I've run across have the rivets. And so that leads to reassembly, which could be an issue. But we can go ahead and take these apart now. So we've got the metal body, the window system, which I look like I scratched the window. It's not like I want to reuse it anyway. Then the inner section, and then the skateboard. So as you can see here, we have these little clips that are made out of plastic. So probably the way they're manufactured is the axles are slid in sideways and then crimped. So what we'll probably want to do is, if we can't work it out, which I don't believe we can, we're going to have to cut these, which will make this pretty much trash at that point. Then when we take the Tomica model, the skateboard just is at the bottom. So what we have here is a spring on the bottom that we can bend to get the wheels out. And then you can see the inside. You actually see a little spring here for the door mechanism, which is pretty cool. And then that can be popped out. So this would be the stage that you'd want to paint it, if that's something you want to do. However, we're just going to swap wheels. And one thing to note here, so I'm going to leave this up to you all. This was where the rivets were. They were the metal that were just rods that went down, and then they crimped it. Now, what you could do is drill a small hole and thread it and make it where it's a screw, where you can take it on and off, or you can glue it. I'm sure there's other ways you can do it as well, but I'll leave it up to you. But what I'm going to do is just snap fit it together until I decide what other options I might want to attempt later on. So our next task will be to find fitment. As you can see here, even though the wheels are the same width, the axle is much longer. So what we'll do is we'll drop this on top of the spring. So as you can already see, I think these wheels are a huge improvement. Now, you may not have as much rolling because of the larger diameter, but if you're just putting on display, it looks much better. But as you can see, we have an offset issue. Unless you're okay with that, we want to get it pulled in. The question is by how much? So what we can do now is we can figure out our spacing. I want to take a Sharpie and mark how much I'm going to cut off, and then I've got some wire snips to cut off that length of axle. Now with the end of the axle cut off, what we'll want to do is crimp it. Now you can glue a bead on the end. I've seen a video where someone uses a special tool to crimp it, but I'm just going to take some vice grips and I'm going to try to lock it down like so. And when we release it, we have flattened the end a little bit. So let's see, and it stays on. Now it's not going to be a high rolling speed wheel, but it stays on and we have a shorter axle. So let's go ahead and get this assembled and wrap it up. And so we have our completed piece. And I think it looks considerably better with the larger wheels, the better offset, and well, just better looking wheels overall. There's a variety of things you can use. You just have to sacrifice one Hot Wheel and a little bit of time. Now, one other thing to note before we go is the way the packaging comes apart. You actually can tear it apart in a way where you could still put it back together and re-glue it and display it like so. The back might be a little bit marred up depending on how you pull it apart, but you can have a better looking version. And I chose these wheels because it kind of looked like this, but I did find some wheels that were like the 2012 and up ISF, but I thought these were a good option. So anyway, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.